Has the city engineer been notified on any of this besides the punch list?
You're talking about to finish it up?
During the project?
Well, yes, they've been consulted several times during the project, and that's what was the number, 49,000, I think? They've been paid $49,000 for, so, they drew the plans for the soccer fields, they drew the plans for the tennis courts, and that's what they've been reimbursed.
But the inspection part?
Oh, the inspection?
He said last meeting he didn't have any dollar amount for the inspection part. So the engineering cost, of course, he had a dollar amount. Was he out to check anything or anything like that? I hate to bring this up, did he check out the seating?
I don't think the engineer.
I think there was two different engineerings on that. One was a resident engineer, which was not hired to do for the soccer field seating. The other part would be the design engineer part. The design part, yes, but there was no resident engineer on that job. They didn't have one on the site.
Okay, thanks. Concrete sidewalks replacement, when is that project scheduled to start?
I don't know what his schedule is, when he's actually going to start, but I know he's doing a job in Stillville right now, and they're gonna be wrapping that one up here shortly. So I think he's starting after that one's completed.
Next month, middle of the month?
I'd say within a month, I would say he'd be starting on that.
Status on the mudslides.
We had a visit from him today, so we got the paperwork to get this stuff, start to move this forward as far as the repairs and that, cost estimates and all that. I got it right here, just got it today. So.
Is there a different number on there for like the residents that's had the problem with the mudslide?
On this one, there is a, for individuals that they can contact.
I mean, you get that the Bowles family and that.
Yeah, I think they stopped down there and talked to them about that.
They did, but then they sent them a check. Didn't amount much.
Have we spent any money on these mudslides?
The cleanup and stuff like that's basically about all we got into it at this point.
We're gonna put that cost in with the...
Yes.
And the new Christmas lights, Charlie, have they arrived yet?
No, they have not. I did call first part of the month, sometime this month. No, I'm sorry. He told me it'd be October before they got here now.
And you got a good place to store these?
Yes,
Where at?
it's the old water plant.
The old water plant?
Yeah, you ought to go down there and see what's down there.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you. No, don't worry.
Okay, anything else under old business? Okay, moving on to new business. First, we have the presentation of audit by Keith.
A couple comments or questions slash, this first page, what I'm trying to express here is these are the fund balance of the general fund and the gas fund, which the city oftentimes uses to take profits from and use on the general fund. What you'll see here, I just was trying to express that in the last 4 or 5 years, even with these economic conditions, to me, you've lived within your means. I mean, these fund balances on the right have really increased over the last 5 years. Now, when you flip to the second page, what I'm trying to express here is, in Chester, like most communities, you have two pension plans that really the underlying Illinois statutes dictate their operations. One's IMRF, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, and the other one's the local police pension plan. So sometimes if somebody looks at the fund balances, they can say, well, the city has all this money, but in reality, what you're seeing, and you're no different than most governmental entities, especially in Illinois, is if you look like 2/3 in the middle of the page where it says unfunded actuarial liability on IMRF, that's $1.6 million, or 4 or 5 years ago it was $500,000. So that pension liability is growing rapidly, and up on the top of the page, you can see where that funding was always $160,000 a year, something in your contribution in the calendar year 2010 was $191,000. So you're seeing these, I don't want somebody to illusion, when you're in Illinois, it's especially difficult to keep up with these unfunded pensions. And if you flip to the next page, is the police pensions history, same type of scenario, where the unfunded pension, based on the last actuarial study, was right at $1 million. And you can see on the upper left where the contribution last year was $137,000. And I think you have that on your agenda later to have an actuarial study done. And I expect that contribution to keep going up just like the IMRF. So these unfunded pensions in Illinois are a big, big liability. Even though your budgeting process on an annual basis is fantastic, you're not being forced to write these checks, so these liabilities just keep growing. So I guess just a couple comments or questions. I would just ask, I guess I'm here asking you to do the same thing you've done before, is you fund these pensions at whatever suggested, and I'm sure after this study you'll do the same. And then the next page is kind of just those two pension plans added together, and just their 10-year history, but you'll see the unfunded pension as of the most two recent years were $2.6 million. So, I mean, this is a 10-year history, but, you know, that's up over $1.5 million over a 10-year period of time. So those pension liabilities and those unfunded portions, you're sending checks in for whatever you're asked to be sent for, but with the low interest rates and everything, it's just difficult. Those unfunded liabilities just continue to improve. And then the last page, again, I want to thank you, and I ask you for the same status. Inside your bond ordinances on the water and sewer, you're required to have a 1.25% debt coverage. So if your payments were $100,000, the bond ordinances read that you have to make $125,000. So at April of 10, you didn't make that coverage ratio, but in April of 11, you did. So that was corrected. There's a couple key things here that's happened that in the short term are great. I mean, first of all, one of the reasons you made this was that Menard had a lot higher consumption this last year, so that benefited that. And I think what's going to benefit in April 11 is you refinance those bonds that saved about $85,000. By design, most of that was supposed to happen in the first year. So I'm expecting, I mean, Nancy said there's some higher repair bills, some of what you alluded to earlier. So if the consumption stays up, April of 12 should stay fine. There's no guarantee. I guess what I'm asking is that you continue writing this. Some communities will say, I don't care what that says, we're not raising rates. I'd ask you when the time comes that you take the appropriate steps in the ordinances to raise the rates or do whatever you need to do. You pass the test this time, I guess we would foresee you passing the test this next time, but that doesn't mean it goes on forever. I just tried to highlight these audit reports are 70 or 80 pages long. If anybody wants to read through them, I'd be happy to come back for questions or whatever. I mean, we don't want to go do that all night, I'm sure. If anybody has a specific question or concern, please ask. Thank you. Right. Thanks.
Okay, next we have to set the date for the trick or treat. I think Halloween's on Monday.
I know I got here a little bit late, but I was trying to make a comment on a public comment session. Can I bring it up to you?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I was served this on the 6th of June, I called down on the